Hey everybody, this is the Pixelblips podcast. I'm Andy Ryan with you again. Joining me as always is my co-host Dave DeWart.
Yo.
Hey Dave.
Hi.
So today we're going to talk about problems, systemic problems at Nintendo that are evidenced by their weird-ass way to transfer files from your 3DS to your new 3DS.
I think it's all the DSs actually. I think this kind of works for all of them. So.
Oh, interesting.
Because it has
the process is complicated.
Yeah. No, go ahead. It's fine.
The process is The process is complicated enough that Nintendo felt that it not just warranted a website, but warranted a full promotional video taking you through a step-by-step process that involves a screwdriver, dismantling both your current 3DS or DS and your new 3DS XL, switching out memory cards in a computer, changing the data over, reinstalling, and screwing everything back together.
Yeah.
Which is pretty damn hard. Your average cell phone, to change the SIM card in it, you don't need a screwdriver.
Yeah, you just need to pop
only
the back
need
off.
to like push it or pop it the magical plasticky way that it's supposed to be, and its guts are exposed.
Yeah, well,
So,
and usually not even its guts, just a couple of like maybe the battery if it's not soldered in or whatever, and like an SD card in your SIM card slot, and that's about it. And it's pretty easy. It takes like 5 minutes. You know, if you buy a new micro SD card, like for my phone, pull the back off, pop it in, close it, done. It'll read the card, you're set. I think it's just really weird the way that Nintendo decided, hey, we're going to lock IDs to a single system, and you can't have multiples, you know?
that would be the systemic problem.
Yeah, that is a systemic
Because it's the problem has come up before when people will like, you know, maybe if your Wii U fails or your DS or your 3DS fail, all of the games that you've downloaded onto that system are now totally lost. Unless you call through Nintendo support, and all Nintendo support can do is refund you your money onto a eShop gift card for you then to rebuy all that stuff.
Yeah.
And apparently it is not an easy process to go through.
No, and that seems really silly and convoluted. Like your average person who picked up a new 3DS this last weekend may not have the time nor the ability to do any of this stuff, right? Like
Maybe they don't have a computer.
Maybe they don't have a computer. Maybe they don't have any screwdrivers. Maybe they traded in their old system and were unable to do whatever it needed to be done. Like I know
feel
there
like
was
that's the most common.
Yeah, and I feel like and I think that there is or there had been some sort of program which involved a lot of trust on GameStop's part of allowing you to take your new 3DS home, set it up, transfer your stuff, and then bring in your 2DS the next day to do all the stuff you needed to do. I can imagine
GameStop for doing that.
Yeah, I mean that's good on them for doing that, and I imagine they lost a lot of freaking 2DSs because of that, or 3DSs or whatever.
I mean, and there is another way to do it where you can log in through the Wi-Fi on both systems, but apparently that route is so hilariously slow, based on both the Wi-Fi signal strength that both of the systems can output, and how Nintendo handles data blocks. But that's not really, we're not going to get into that here. We mainly want to talk about how Nintendo handles network license rights.
Yeah, and I wish they would go the route that like Sony and Microsoft do, where you can sign in on, like, because we've done this, right? Like you and me have done this, where I bought a game and you wanted to try it out, so I came over to your house, we sat down, we downloaded it, and you played Infamous Second Son for like an hour. And granted, you had to start over the beginning because it didn't download the whole game, but you got to check it out.
Same thing with Lego The Hobbit.
Lego Hobbit, we did the same thing. You got to check it out that way.
Yeah. Now, granted, I have to be logged in on your profile to play any of these things, so I'm playing as you, but on another system.
Thanks for the Chivos, by the way.
No problem. Basically, what ends up being is we take the digital file, and it is still Dave's game, but I'm playing it. So, like, if in the olden days Dave had a copy of, let's say, Phantasy Star 4,
Mm-hmm.
and he lets me borrow it, and I can play through Phantasy Star 4. I have to keep my save game on that cartridge,
Yes.
so it's still Dave's. It's still Dave's game. I don't own it. I just get to play it. Uh, it wouldn't. Nintendo's license rights aren't horrendous until you look at what competitors offer in the marketplace. It's kind of like everyone complained about Xbox One's DRM and its crazy check-ins and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo's is only slightly better than what that was.
Yeah.
Because with the Xbox One, if your Xbox One broke, you could still log into your profile, get all your saved games, get everything re-downloaded on your new system. Nintendo, you can't do that.
Provided you had updated all your save games to the cloud, yes, you could get your saves back.
Yes.
And the same
when
thing
my
with
PS3 broke, I still had all my stuff.
Or most of it. You had all or most of it. You had all your games, but you may have lost a bunch of saves, which that's neither here nor there. So.
But I didn't have to call Sony's, PR. I didn't have to call their customer service. I didn't have to go through any rigmarole. All I had to do was go to my download list, pick up the games I wanted again. Or, I've even skipped doing that, and I just go to the store, type in the title of the game that I want, click on it. It already says, "Oh, this profile has purchased this game." Just download it again.
Yep, and I've done that.
On my PS4, it even goes to the cloud and says, "Oh, there's a saved game up here. Let's pull this down too." Which I was like, "That's freaking genius and super easy. Thank you." Like Nintendo's weird way of doing it, it's not for security. It's for making you buy games again.
Well, and the fact that you're buying multiple versions of the same hardware, well, not multiple versions of the same hardware, but multiple versions of the same generation of a handheld or version, whatever. Like, because I know I kind of want one of the new 3DSs, but I really don't want to jump through all these hoops just so I can keep my stuff on there. Like, I feel like if I buy the new 3DS, I'm probably going to keep it for myself, and my wife can have my 2DS. But I just bought that, so that's not going to happen anytime soon. And the saves
money sucks.
Yeah. Well, it's not even the money thing. It's just like I don't need it. I could play Majora's on my 2DS. I can play Ocarina on my 2DS. I don't need the new one unless I really want to play that Xeno whatever game. So.
Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yeah, and it seems like this has just been an issue with every one of them ever since they've had Wi-Fi and the ability to like download games to it. And like the original DS didn't matter because everything was card-based. You might have had a save thing. You might have had a little card in there for saves or whatever. But even that, I think the saves go on the actual game cards themselves.
I believe they did.
Because when I bought my used copy of 3D Land, there was a save on it, and it was like done. That game was complete. Which that got deleted.
That's always one of the first things I do when I buy old games. I go through and delete all the saves on them.
The old saves, yeah.
Makes the game feel new to me.
Yeah, it's not actually used. With disc-based games, it's not a big deal because it's a disc. We didn't write to it, so that's not it. But these little cards and things like that, yeah.
I think it is an extension of how Nintendo handles business and how they view their audience and how they make money. So the analogy is that when I buy a Wii, I buy Secret of Mana on my Wii.
Yes.
And I can then, play Secret of Mana on my Wii, whatever not. A couple of weeks later, they release it on DS or 3DS or whatever, and I now need to rebuy it to play it on there.
Yeah.
Okay. Or if I don't want to log in.
Go ahead. No, you're fine. I know where you're going with this, but.
Okay. So if I get a Wii U, I have to basically shut down my Wii and delete all the stuff off of it, transfer it all over, so that it only lives in an emulated version on my Wii U. But if, let's say, Secret of Mana comes out for the Wii U Virtual Console, I have to buy it again.
Or you have to restart.
Or I can play the emulated Wii version. Or I can go into the Wii menu. What?
I think they fixed some of the having to turn your system off and put it in Wii mode for certain games. I think like Mario Galaxy 2, you can play natively in the Wii U, and I don't know, like you don't have to restart it. You can just load up the emulator that way. And I don't know if that's for all Wii games, or if that's only certain ones you can buy on the store, or certain ones that just have the compatibility to do that. But they've started fixing some of that, and I hope that they go the full 9, and they're like, you can use the the Wii U's Virtual Console to play all the games you bought on your Wii, as long as they were loaded over from your system.
So it's indicative of how they handle their hardware as well. So let's say I buy a Game Boy, and then the Game Boy Color comes out, and there are new games I want to play on my Game Boy Color. Well, then I got to go buy a Game Boy Color. It hasn't really been a problem until after the Game Boy Advance era, where it was like, okay, you have a DS. Well, certain games won't work. Certain DS games won't work on your DS, so you have to get a DSi so that it downloads them. Like, okay, fine. Well, now we're at the 3DS. Well, certain games aren't going to work because they need this little nubby thing, so you need to buy a new 3DS. Well, okay, fine. But it's not really a new system. They're just hitting you again for the money.
Yeah.
They're like, well, they'll buy a DS. They'll buy a DS XL. They'll buy a new DS XLi. They'll buy blah, 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 blah. Maybe they'll buy a new version of Secret of Mana to play on all those systems. You get what I'm saying?
I see where you're going with this, and I don't like the fact that they keep coming out every 3 years or so. When did the 3DS come out? Because I knew the new one just came out on Friday of last week, so on the 13th.
I don't know. It feels like it's been
a
2 to 3 years.
It's been a few years. So every few years they come out with a new version of their handheld and add a couple bells and whistles, and they're like, oh well, moving forward we're going to make games for this that may only run on this. Now, like I said, right now there's only the one game in production for the new 3DS that you have to have the new 3DS for. Everything else just gets.
But there could be. There's only one game that we know of in production, but how Nintendo handles things,
Yeah,
they don't exactly let us know what they're working on far out.
Yeah, we'll hear of a couple more later in the year, and I'm sure they'll talk about it in Nintendo Directs and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, and the flip side is take it like this. So back in the NES, if you bought Super Mario Brothers 3, you didn't automatically get Super Mario Brothers 3 on the Super Nintendo. You had to go buy Super Mario All Stars. So we've been handling this for a while. If you had a Sega Genesis, you didn't automatically get Sonic on the Sega Saturn without having to buy, Sonic Jam. But lately,
that was a different
especially
time,
with legacy. Yes, especially with legacy software. Keep in mind the copy of Castlevania Symphony of the Night that I bought in I want to say 2007. Okay.
Yeah.
I can now download and play on my Vita, which wasn't even a sparkle in anyone's eye in 2007. And I don't need to rebuy it. I don't need to spend more money for it. It's there. It's like, this is already one of the games in your list, buddy. You can already get it. If they ever do emulation control on PlayStation 4 for PS1 and PS2 games, they will all also filter in.
Well, what I'm saying is yeah, because you bought the digital version. But if you had the physical version of the game, you would have to rebuy it for your Vita.
Oh yeah.
Like if you had a disc.
I have Valkyria Chronicles 2 over there. I have Valkyria Chronicles 2 over there in my PSP selection, and every time it's on sale on the digital download store, I keep thinking like, oh, it's only $10. Maybe I should buy it. I really like that game. That's what we're talking about. I'm not talking about I have a copy of Super Mario Brothers 3, the cartridge. Therefore, Nintendo should allow me to play that game every time it is re-released. I'm talking about I've bought digital rights to Secret of Mana or Wild Guns or Legend of Mystical Ninja. So the next time those games come out on your digital store, I should have the same rights. That's not crazy.
Yeah, and no, that is not crazy. You've already given Nintendo money for it once. Why do you need to give it to them again for the same game that you've paid for once on a different system? And like I said, I like the way that someone's doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So
they get away with it because people go, oh, I've already bought a DS, but I want a DS XL. I've already bought a DS XL, but I want a 3DS. Oh, I've already bought a 3DS, but I want a 3DS XL. Oh, I want the new 3DS XL. Because Nintendo's like, oh, we can keep charging you, and if
They
you should
can.
stop buying.
Well, no, they can, but they don't. Like, if you're smart enough, or if you're not into it, I don't want to say smart enough, because it doesn't seem like it's a super hard project to do, but it is a project that you have to do in order to transfer all your crap from system to system to system. You know,
Yes.
it is a hoop that you can either go through and save money, or you can not go through it and pay more money for games that you may have already bought. So,
Yes.
it's not,
It is a
not that it
needlessly
requires
complicated
you to
hoop.
buy them all. Well, I wouldn't say it's.
No, they're not
super-
requiring you, but
I
they
wouldn't-
are putting a giant speed bump in your way.
They are putting a speed bump, yeah. I mean, for someone like
So
you
let's
and me,
say-
we could do it.
let's say
and it
you're
wouldn't
like
be that
me.
big a deal.
But let's say you're a consumer like me. I don't resell my things. You know, I have
You hold on to the stuff.
I can see 4 Game Boys from where I'm sitting right now.
I
You know,
I've been in your office. I know where all your stuff's at.
what if I don't want to resell my current 2DS when I buy a new 2DS? Well, you're S out of luck, Andy. All the digital games that you bought on your 2DS can only be played on your 2DS. You have to basically remove everything from it and put it all on your new system.
Yes, I know. I'm aware.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, it
Like, in
makes-
what
it
world does
makes
that make sense?
Well, no, the statement makes sense. The fact that that's what we have to do
Okay.
doesn't, like, that kind of sucks and is dumb, but, you know,
It makes
I-
sense because Nintendo wants to make more money.
yes.
Does
But
that
so
make
does
sense?
Sony, and so does Microsoft, and everybody else wants, like, I want to make more money, but my services can't be, paid for
Yeah.
twice.
Yeah, Sony and Microsoft have found ways to make more money than Nintendo, obviously, without resorting to stuff like this.
I
You know, would it be nice if all of my digital games that are on PlayStation now were available to stream on my PlayStation 4? Yes, that would be wonderful.
that would be awesome.
However, as an adult, I understand that there is infrastructure problems, and it's not the same as downloading 8 gigs of data onto my machine and it running it.
Yes.
You know, that it's a constant stream, and that needs upkeep. I get that that's different. You know, is it different that you can now play the Wii U version on your gamepad? Yeah, I get that. That's different. Is it worth, rebuying the same thing over again? I would say no. Some people might say differently. But let's talk about what we're talking about. I have downloaded files on a 2DS that will run no differently on a 3DS. But I have to rebuy them if I want to keep using them on my 2DS as well.
Yeah, because
That's bullshit.
every system has a unique ID, and I wish you could say, like, I have two DSs or two 3DSs or whatever, or one of each, and you're like, okay, look, all 3 of these are linked to the same account. That way, when one of us buys something, we all get to buy it. Yes, I get that sucks, and I wish it wasn't like that. To be honest,
it makes even less sense when you consider how family-oriented the image of Nintendo is.
Yes,
but
they also want
if you have
bad.
Yeah, if you have 2 kids that want to play
Pokemon.
Mario Kart, you have to buy 2 copies of Mario Kart. Okay. Whereas if you have 2 kids that, for whatever reason, want to play Sonic Racing Transformed on their Vitas, you only need to buy one version of it.
Provided
and that's the version for your house.
Well, provided that you've got, everybody's signed into the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like, if everybody was signed into the same thing, then yeah, you could do that. But it's been like that forever, though. Like, right? Like, when I was little, when me and my, sisters wanted to play Pokemon, we each had to have our own Game Boy. We had to each have our own copy of the game.
Yep.
And
I'm glad that you used the Pokemon example.
Because that's exactly what happened. Like, we all had to have our own copy of the game, and we all had to have our own hardware and all that. And Nintendo wants that to still be the way that it is. And I think,
but it's not.
Well, no, it is for them, but only for them. I mean,
Like,
But
here's a good
like,
for
well,
instance.
but I mean also.
If I buy a PlayStation TV right now, okay,
Yep.
all of my Vita games that are PlayStation TV compatible or whatever bullshit they thought up, they all run on that, and they'll run on that at the exact same time that I am playing them on my PlayStation Vita. So if someone else in my house, for whatever reason, wants to play Tactics Ogre,
While
they can
you're
play
playing
Tactics
it
Ogre
on your Vita,
while
yeah.
I'm playing Tactics Ogre.
Yes.
And I don't need to rebuy it.
No, you
because
don't.
it's not 1998.
Well,
And even Pokemon had different versions so that, like, one of you had red, one of you had blue, one of you had green, one of you had yellow.
And everybody had a different mix.
It's just dumb. It's not how things work anymore. Like I said, it's not horrendously bad until you look at what else is in the marketplace. And then it is horrendously bad.
Yes, and I think part of Nintendo's strategy for that is so that you and your buddy don't share an account and everybody gets games, we only have to buy the games once. And I understand that hurts a chunk of their marketplace. It hurts a portion of their player base, so is that, to keep them from losing sales on games.
Yes.
It's the same thing with Steam, right? Like, now Steam has a sharing feature so that you can share games with people, but that doesn't keep people from going, okay, well, I'm going to share my account with my brother and we're going to, I'll buy a game and then we both have access to it. As long as we both have access to the email address that's associated with this.
Yes. So here's the difference. Steam, Sony, Microsoft have all found ways around it.
They have.
That they can continue to monetize the game. They can continue to, like, make sure everyone gets their money and gets everything's copacetic. I can't play Lego The Hobbit on your profile if you're logged into it on your machine. Right?
No, you can't.
I'm nodding my head so that you said right. Yes.
I get that, yeah.
And
I think that the archaic way that Nintendo is doing things probably should change. And it is old, it is archaic, and I think it stems from, Nintendo may not necessarily understand how the internet works yet. They've been working on it. They're doing real good.
It's a series of tube full of cats.
Yes, it has lots of cats and tubes, and it's the same problem that a lot of people have had with the Wii and the Wii U when they were transferring stuff back and forth and whatever. I know reviewers have had an issue with reviewing Wii games or Wii U games where they can't transfer their saves from their home Wii or their Wii U to the one at the office or whatever. They would have to take the system back and forth, and it's really, really dumb. But that's the way that Nintendo wanted to build their stuff, and that's how their stuff has always pretty much been. And they're kind of resistant to change, And as long as they're still a profitable
some would argue they're the worst for it.
Huh? What?
Some would argue they're the worst for it.
They are way resistant to change. But as long as they're not losing as much money as, say, Sony. Or Microsoft, probably more Microsoft, because Sony has other wings that can make money off of. But
keep in mind when you say losing money like that, you have to pay attention to Nintendo only has a games division, so you should really say is PlayStation or Xbox losing money.
But you know what I mean, right?
Does that make sense?
To their direct competitors, they're not losing money hand over fist, millions or billions of dollars a year. They'll be fine because I know they have a big fat war chest they're sitting on, and they're not going to run out of that cash for at least a little while. Or they did. They may not have it anymore because the Wii U hasn't been doing as well as they'd hoped. And I just wish that they would
still have quite a big war chest.
I wish they would go closer to the Sony model where, if you have two Wii U's, you can have all your stuff activated on both of those Wii U's. If you have two DS's, two 2DS's, which is a really dumb statement. But
we're in agreement about that, Dave.
Yes.
So let's just stop Nintendo bashing because I'm already seeing comments in my mind, and say,
hey, that's better than no comments.
We'll see you later.
Yep.
We'll see you later.